Imagine hosting one of the biggest nights in film, expecting a celebration of talent, creativity, and diversity, and instead waking up the next morning to headlines calling the entire event a disaster. That is exactly what happened after the 2026 BAFTA Film Awards. And now, the host himself, Alan Cumming, is speaking out and calling the ceremony something pretty shocking. In his own words, a trauma-triggering mess. Let's talk about what actually happened, because the moment that sparked this controversy is complicated, emotional, and frankly uncomfortable for everyone involved. The BAFTA ceremony took place in London on February 22, with actor and presenter Alan Cumming hosting the evening. On paper, it should have been a celebration of the film industry's best work of the year. But during one segment of the show, something unexpected happened on stage that quickly overshadowed the entire event. John Davidson, a Tourette's advocate whose life inspired the acclaimed film I Swear, was present during the ceremony. While actors Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan were presenting an award, Davidson involuntarily blurted out the N-word. According to reports, this was the result of a vocal tic related to his Tourette's syndrome. And that single moment instantly changed the tone of the night. For viewers watching at home, the broadcast captured the moment. Clips began circulating online almost immediately. What should have been a prestigious awards show suddenly turned into a heated global conversation about disability, language, race, and media responsibility. A week after the ceremony, Alan Cumming finally broke his silence. And he did not hold back. On social media, he reflected on the night and said that what was supposed to be an evening celebrating creativity, diversity, and inclusion instead turned into what he called a trauma-triggering mess. He apologized directly to the black community, saying he was deeply sorry for the pain people felt hearing that word broadcast around the world. But he didn't stop there. Cumming also addressed the Tourette's community, pointing out that the incident highlighted how little understanding and tolerance still exist when it comes to neurological conditions like Tourette's syndrome. In his view, the entire situation exposed just how quickly people rush to judgment without fully understanding what actually happened. And honestly, that's one of the most difficult parts of this story, because it sits right at the intersection of two very real issues. On one side, the historical trauma associated with that word. On the other, a medical condition that can cause people to say things completely outside their control. Cumming suggested that if there is any positive takeaway from the situation, it might be a reminder that words matter, but so does understanding context. He emphasized that trauma in all forms should be recognized and respected. But he also criticized a key decision made that night. According to Cumming, it was wrong for the BBC to broadcast the moment at all. In his view, the audience and the public were let down by the choices made about what was aired and what was censored. His argument is that the broadcast amplified the damage far beyond the room where the incident occurred. And that brings up a fascinating question. In the age of live television and instant social media clips, how much responsibility do broadcasters have when something unexpected happens on stage? Because once it is out there, it is everywhere. For John Davidson, the experience appears to have been deeply distressing. After the incident, he left the ceremony early and later said he felt deeply mortified about what happened. The BBC issued a formal apology for broadcasting the moment. Meanwhile, BAFTA officials announced that they are launching what they describe as a comprehensive review into how the situation was handled. And there is another voice in this conversation that adds an interesting perspective. Kirk Jones, the director of the film I Swear, which is based on Davidson's life, spoke to The Telegraph about the incident, and he believes Davidson was let down on multiple levels that night. Jones argued that the worst mistake may have been allowing the moment to air on television in the first place. In his view, if that brief tick had never been broadcast, the situation would have stayed contained within the room. Think about that for a second. If it had remained private, BAFTA could have simply contacted the guests afterward, apologized, explained the circumstances, and the story likely would have ended there. No viral clips. No international backlash. No global headlines. Instead, the moment was captured, shared, debated, and dissected by millions of people online. And now, what should have been a celebration of filmmaking is remembered primarily for controversy. Cumming himself acknowledged this at the end of his statement, congratulating the artists whose achievements were overshadowed by the night's events, which raises another uncomfortable reality. In the world of live televised events, it often takes only a few seconds for the narrative of an entire evening to change. One unexpected moment, and suddenly the awards, the performances, the winners, and the creative work all fade into the background. Instead, everyone is talking about the controversy. And in this case, it is a conversation that touches on race, disability, media ethics, and public perception all at once. a complicated mix of issues that cannot easily be reduced to simple answers. So the big question now is whether BAFTA's review will lead to changes in how live events are broadcast in the future. Because if this situation has shown anything, it is that a single moment on live television can ripple across the world in seconds. And when it does, the consequences are rarely simple.